It's here, folks. It's finally here. The 2018 Model X P100D. Now, this is a very, very rare spec. They did not make very many P100D Model X's, and this one has pretty much every single option in it except for the white interior. And some would say that that is a good thing. Now, this also has the 6-seat center console interior layout. It has the full self-driving package option included, and I'm excited to show it to you, folks. Let's take a look. Okay, now to open the driver's side passenger door, you simply double click on the remote and away it goes. Let's check it out. There's that black interior with the center console. Super awesome, super comfortable. You just have so much leg room in here. For me, I'm 6'3", and I fit easily behind my own driver's seat settings, which is way back. Super convenient. And interesting thing, Tesla actually gave us a little Model 3 when we picked this up. I guess a bunch of reservation holders for the Model 3 canceled at some point, and so they had a bunch of extra little models, which is cool. Here is the button that you press to open this door here. Let's go ahead and push that. So if you're inside, that's what it looks like when the door opens. Pretty cool. Now, the reason for these doors is so that you can load a kiddo into a car seat right here very easily. So you can just carry them right here, and your car seat's right here. You've got a lot of headroom here. You're not trying to duck inside of a car to make this happen. That is why they designed these doors. They just went above and beyond to do that. So that's pretty cool, but has a side effect of looking ridiculously awesome at the same time. Now I'm gonna go ahead and close them. Well, that opened my door. I'm still learning this remote here. It's a triple click, not a double click, which opens the driver's door. Well, I've just opened the passenger door. This is what owning a Model X is like. I'm not even gonna edit this out because you'll learn things like this just by accidentally doing them, and it takes a little while to figure out exactly which button and how many presses does what on the remote, and all kinds of other little things too that you'll just notice going through it. Day-to-day ownership, it seems like I discover something new every day. I think this is day 9 or so having this, but let's try that triple click one more time. There we go. All closed up. All right, next I'm going to show you some of the autopilot cameras that you will see that help it drive. There's that one for the rear. And up here we've got one in the B pillar. That's a camera right there for autopilot. There's another one right here in the side marker for the blinker. And of course there are an array right up here on top, right there. And all of that works together to help this car drive itself. And let me tell you, it does an incredible job of doing that. Now this feature that I'm going to show you next is very polarizing for Model X owners. Some people love it and some people find it incredibly annoying. So I have the key fob right here. It's going to be in my pocket, and I'm just going to walk up to the car and we'll see what happens. The door opens. Sometimes it opens a tiny amount, sometimes it opens all the way, but it's always careful not to hit anything next to it, which is good. Now I just put my foot on the brake, boom, it closes. Pretty cool, pretty convenient. Now I have enter PIN to drive on mine just because I've heard that some Model X's have gotten hacked by some expert hackers, and they've been able to be stolen relatively easily by people that are super nerds. So just in case, I have mine turned on. So that is what will greet you, and you have to enter a 4-digit PIN to be able to drive. But honestly, it's probably not that big of a deal, and Tesla's probably already patched that security vulnerability already. One thing you'll notice as soon as you get in is how tall the windshield is. It's like a helicopter windshield. I love it. The tint starts right about there, and it makes it it's like an open air feeling experience. But that's what it feels like to get in. And one thing that my wife and I love is that we can actually fit our enormous water bottles in this adjustable cup holder thing here. It also includes a little charger port there, which is useful. And I've got my USB stick here, this directly from Tesla, to record Sentry and dash cam footage for in case anything goes super wrong. Thank you. All right, let's take it for a drive. Now you'll notice on my screen here I have the PSI showing because I've got a little tire pressure monitoring system warning. I'm not sure what that is. I had the tires balanced almost immediately after picking this up because I think they removed the wheel weights from the wheels that had kept them balanced during the CPO process. That's the only thing that makes sense for how much they were out of balance. But now I've got a little pressure warning here, and it looks like the tire pressures are in general fine, so maybe it's just a little cold and it's acting up. But I'd like to show you all the autopilot. It's pretty cool. It blows my mind every time I use it, and this is a congested sort of day to try it out. Gets a little bit tight there sometimes in that area. All right, so I just pull the stock towards me twice. This little stock here, it's below the blinker, it's this thing down here, and I'm gonna pull it towards me twice. When this little gray icon shows, that means that it's available to turn on autopilot. And basically you need lines on the road and it will work most of the time. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn it on. And that's what it looks like, and it is on. And the easiest way to keep it running is to just kind of rest your hand on the wheel just like this. Otherwise it'll ask you to interact with the steering wheel in some way fairly regularly while it's driving itself, just to let the system know that you know that it's running and that you're paying attention. Alternatively, you can also move the volume wheel here, and that will count as interacting with the steering wheel for continued autopilot. But I find, especially on long stretches, that just putting my hand here works the best. Now, you see it says speed limit 30 there. I'm going to go ahead and try to exceed the speed limit, which is very much a bad idea, especially in this congested town here. But I just want to show you that it's restricted to 35 to be able to be driving itself. So it won't let you go crazy amounts of speed over the limit. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and reduce it back down to 30 because the traffic enforcement here is quite strong. Now, I went ahead and took over there just because that truck was in the way and it didn't quite know what to do, and it will default to being safe. And autopilot is back on now. This has the MCU1. That was slightly disappointing for me because getting a 2018, I had assumed that all 2018s come with MCU1. So if you're shopping for a Tesla, you want MCU2 if you're getting a 2018, if possible. What the MCU is it stands for, I believe, it's Media Control Unit, and it is the computer that drives the touchscreen display as well as this display here. Now that's a little bit outdated by the time they got to 2018 with their MCU from the original Model X, so It runs a little slow, it's a little bit laggy. If you've ever used like an iPad 2 or something like that, that's about how fast it is. It's nothing that's going to ruin your day or anything, but sometimes it takes a while to start up, and I will show a video here that was one of my takes from just trying to make this video, where the computer took forever to start up, and it actually made me have to wait a while to go. So I think it was like 1 minute and 40 seconds that it took for this thing to start up before I could drive the vehicle. Now that's very unusual. That doesn't happen very often. In fact, that's the most egregious example of it in the entire time I've had this car. So normally that doesn't happen, but for some reason the system was rebooting and it made me wait like 1 minute and 40 seconds to drive because the MCU had not started up yet. Now the switch over to MCU2 happened in March of 2018, and this was built in February of 2018. I'm going to go ahead and increase our speed here a little bit by pushing up on the autopilot stock. But yeah, I would recommend the MCU2 if you can find it. It's not the end of the world if you can't. You can get it upgraded for currently $2,500 from MCU1 to MCU2, and I will probably do that eventually, but it's not urgent. I can absolutely live with a little bit of lag here and there. Now, the hardware for this, for the autopilot, is what's known as hardware 2.5, and 2.5 is a pretty good chip, but hardware 3 is even better. And hardware 3, which is again the autopilot computer that runs all the cameras on the outside of the car and is driving the car right now, the autopilot computer, the third version, can actually see stoplights and stop signs. So as we become better and better at having a full self-driving Tesla, as their software improves, they'll be able to have the autopilot actually stop at the stoplight and stop at the stop sign when the light is red, and of course when there's a stop sign too. They're getting better and better, and the new hardware will be installed on this on December 7, which is a Monday. So currently we're running 2.5. Hardware 3 is coming, and I will be excited to note the differences. The main ones will be traffic control. Now you'll see that we're still on autopilot and we're coming up to a stoplight here, and there's traffic. If there's traffic stopped at the stoplight, it'll have no problem stopping at it at all. It will just follow the car that's in front of it. But if it's car number 1 and you're coming up to a red light, if you let it, it will just drive right through. So that is one of the important things that hardware 3 changes. It's a Tesla in-house chip. It's extremely advanced, and I think it goes in the glove box somewhere. But that is the hardware running the autopilot right now. It will be updated in about a week or so, and I will make a video about that as well. But that's autopilot in a small town at rush hour. It does a pretty good job. Keeps you from getting too stressed out from your commute. And I can say, just from a day trip I've already taken in this, that after driving for like 8 hours in a day, if it's on autopilot, man, it feels different. You are not nearly as exhausted at the end of that trip as you would be if you were driving a car where you had to pay attention to controlling its direction the whole time. It's just the fatigue levels are way, 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 way lower when your car's been driving itself. All right, so now as we're heading back to my house, let's go ahead and test some emissions. That's a very important thing to do in a vehicle, is emissions testing, and they make it easy in the Tesla. Let's test some emissions here. All right, emissions confirmed. That is fun. And we can also turn on Mars. Let's go ahead and do that. Switch on multiplanetary species, and we will find, when we look back over at our MCU here, that we have our car icon as a little rover, and this is a good demonstration of MCU1. It will load the tiles of certain parts of Mars, so it looks like we're actually driving on the surface of another world, if you just look at that screen anyway. Now, a Tesla would actually work on Mars because it's electric and does not need air to function. let's go ahead and turn that off, just because the map does not work when it is turned on, nor does navigation or navigate on autopilot actually. But there's all kinds of fun stuff that you can do on here, which is pretty cool. I don't know if you noticed, but there was a bag of trash in the road there, and it seemed to avoid that pretty well on autopilot, which is comforting. There's all kinds of stress tests that you can find on YouTube of different levels of autopilot avoiding different obstacles. So check those out. There's the new beta for full self-driving that a few hundred people have right now, the beginning of December 2020. It will avoid all kinds of things. It will avoid pedestrians, of course, and boxes and obstacles and all kinds of stuff. It almost drives like a human at this point. So go check out FSD Beta 5, and that should pull up a bunch of cool videos. Another thing that I really enjoy, it's a small thing about this, is that as I pull up to my house here, it will actually open the garage door automatically, which is super cool. So there it goes. Garage is opening. And there it is. The Tesla Bay. Now my garage is not the cleanest, as you can see, but I wanted to show you what it looks like to pull in. This is super useful here. I usually go until it says stop, which is right there. And that means that I'm right up against the garage wall within 1 foot. Then all I have to do to park it is push on the end of this button here, and you'll see that it goes into park, and it will give me options here to open the doors. I'll just, because I can't be bothered to open my own door, I will push this button here, and it opens up, kind of. Kind of doesn't want to open all the way in the garage. And all you got to do is push the button on it, door pops open, and now you're fueling up at home. Now this will charge at a pretty decent rate with just the dryer plug outlet that I have this plugged into. Charging should show up on the screen here momentarily, and you will see that it's starting to draw the amps, and it's starting to tell me how fast it's charging per hour. I've seen it go up to 20 miles per hour here at the home charger. So basically a full charge in 10 to 12 hours, depending how empty you come in, usually more like 4 or 5 hours to full charge at home. But that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. It's a big upgrade from plugging into right there, which is what I had to do while I waited for the adapter that you have to order for the NEMA 1450. That little outlet up there will charge at 3 miles per hour, which is okay if you're parked at somebody's house, like an Airbnb or something, for a few days. That will charge you back up over the course of days. But 3 miles per hour of charge is forever. Now I have the max charge set at 80%. If you set it all the way, that's for taking traveling, that's for a long road trip. Normally you do not want to charge more than 80%, just because that keeps the battery healthy and happy, and that will still give you, when it's full, about 220 miles of range in this temperature with my driving style. I'd be interested to see how that changes in warmer weather. But that's charging at home.